Today we are going to read an article out of a Storyworks magazine, and this is from the September 2013 issue. So I know it's older, but we had something really exciting that happened in 2013. And I love the title of this article. It's called Attack from Outer Space. So I'm going to read this to you, and we're going to talk about our connections to Earth and space. So before reading the article, Attack from Outer Space, let's go ahead and talk about some of the words that we're going to come across that have to do with space and objects found in space. So speaking of space rocks, the first one is shockwaves. It'll say, thunderous bangs echo as invisible shockwaves shake Cheylabinsk. Shockwaves, it says, meaning they are intense sound waves often caused by an explosion. Another word we're going to come across is meteor. It says, don't let the name confuse you though. A shooting star is not really a star, it's a meteor, the stream of light produced when a rock burns up in Earth's atmosphere. The meaning of meteor is a streak of light produced by a burning space rock entering the atmosphere. Solar system says, our solar system includes millions of rocks. We've talked about solar system, that is the sun and the planets, moons and other objects that move around it. And then number 4, asteroids. So we're going to be finding out what asteroids are. It says such as asteroids, and then in parentheses it says large space rocks. So that's exactly what that means. They are large space rocks. And we're going to talk about them in this article. Let's check out the other 6 words. Here are the other words that we need to know what they mean. Number 5 is comets. Comets are part rock and part ice. So those are space objects that are part rock and part ice. Meteoroids, it says and meteoroids. And then in parentheses it says smaller space rocks. So the meaning of meteoroids is smaller space rocks. I like that. On like asteroids, comets, meteoroids, it said the definition in the parentheses. All right, let's talk about number 7, fireballs. Especially large and bright meteors, like the one in Cheylabinsk, are called fireballs. Fireballs meaning are large, bright meteors. We have number 8, meteorites. It says any pieces that land on Earth are called meteorites. So a meteorite are pieces of space rocks that land on Earth. Number 9, orbits. We talked about orbits. It says, like the planets, the rocks move around the sun in circles called orbits. So an orbit is a circular path of objects going around the sun or a planet. We know it's not exactly circular. We know that they are elliptical. All right, let's look at number 10. It's a satellite. It says, so B612 is building a special satellite called Sentinel that will serve as our planet's eyes, orbiting the sun and hunting for asteroids. So the meaning of a satellite is a spacecraft that circles Earth or another heavenly body, usually to send or receive information. All right, I want you to go ahead and be on the lookout for those 10 words as we read this article. We're going to be thinking about what they mean, and we're going to also practice the meaning in a separate assignment. So make sure you're paying attention. We've got 1, shockwaves, 2, meteor, 3, solar system, 4, asteroids, 5, comets, 6, meteoroids, 7, fireballs, 8, meteorites, 9, orbits, and 10, satellite. Be on the lookout for those, and let's see what they mean and see what we can find out about them. Okay, so attack from outer space. A huge fireball from space exploded above a Russian city, injuring more than 1,000 people, and no one saw it coming. How can we protect ourselves next time? All right, so we're going to be looking at, some of those objects in space and how they affect Earth. All right, so as the sun rises on February 15th, 2013, the people of Cheylabinsk, Russia, start their mornings as usual, eating breakfast, driving to work, and heading to school. But the 1.1 million residents of this busy city are in for a very unusual day. This morning, a space rock 55 feet across. Okay, so I'm 5 feet, 2 inches. This thing is almost 10 times the size of me. 55 feet across, as wide as a 5-story building is tall, is headed directly for Cheylabinsk. and nobody has any idea. This rock has been circling close to Earth for thousands of years. Finally, this morning, it enters our atmosphere. A layer of gases surrounds our planet. Zooming towards Earth's surface, the rock gets hotter and hotter. The heat is so intense that it starts to crumble as it travels 40,000 miles an hour, more than twice as fast as the space shuttle at launch. Now it's about 15 miles above the ground, and it won't be long until it explodes. The residents of Cheylabinsk gawk, puzzled, as a brilliant fireball streaks across the blue-pink morning sky and disappears in a blinding flash of light, brighter than the sun. An eerie trail of smoke is left behind. Some people run outside or go to the windows for a better look. Others pull their cars over alarmed. What was that? A missile? A plane crash? Aliens? 2 uneasy minutes pass, and then boom, smash. Thunderous bangs echo as invisible shockwaves shake Cheylabinsk. Walls collapse, people are knocked to the ground, and windows are shattered, flinging razor-sharp shards of glass into homes, schools, and offices throughout the city. In a single instant, 1,200 people are injured. They are lucky. It could have been worse. So that's kind of a scary thing. This loud sound, the crashing, the windows shattering. I would be terrified if this happens to me and not knowing what it was. So I think it's crazy that it said in a single instant, 1,200 people are injured. And I'm going to leave in the slideshow some video, but there's lots and lots of car dash film from this event because lots of people in Russia have dash cams, and so we could see this. So it makes it neat that we have evidence to support what actually happened. So let's learn a little bit about that. We're going to read Rocks from the Sky. Ever look up at the night sky and see a shooting star? Beautiful, yes? Don't let the name confuse you, though. A shooting star is not really a star. It's a meteor, the stream of light produced when a rock burns up in Earth's atmosphere. So let me read that again. A meteor is the stream of light produced when a rock burns up in Earth's atmosphere. Our solar system includes millions of rocks, such as asteroids, which are large space rocks, comets, which are part rock and part ice, and meteoroids, smaller space rocks. Especially large and bright meteors, like the ones in Cheylabinsk, are called fireballs. Any pieces that land on Earth are called meteorites. Okay, so meteorites and meteoroids are all the same thing. It just depends where they're at. So a meteor is light produced when a rock burns up in Earth's atmosphere. A meteoroid are smaller space rocks, and then meteorites are those pieces that land on Earth of a meteoroid. So any meteoroid that lands on Earth, we call it a meteorite because it's right here on Earth. So really, that's interesting that we have 3 different names to describe the same thing. Just depends where it's at, okay? So we had asteroids, comets, meteoroids, meteorites, and meteors. All right. Mentions of sacred rocks from the sky appear in writings from ancient civilizations. It wasn't until 1794, though, that German physicist Ernst Chladni proposed that meteorites came from outer space, but no one took him seriously. The common belief at the time was that rocks that fell from the sky came from Earth. They had first been swept up by strong winds. Then, in April 1803, thousands of meteorites fell on the French town of L'Aigle. A physicist named Jean-Baptiste Biot went to investigate. Biot's research finally convinced scientists that rocks can and do fall from space. That's interesting. So we're looking once again at, scientists that say, hey, this is something that I think is happening. And other people just say no. So they're providing evidence to try to support that. So yeah, we do have space rocks. Now we know that space rocks are leftovers from when the planets of our solar system formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Like the planets, the rocks move around the sun in circles called orbits. Generally, they stay in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, but sometimes they knock into their neighbors, bouncing around like bumper cars, and stray close to us. Each day, Earth is bombarded by some 100 tons of debris, most of which burns up in the atmosphere without causing any harm. So once again, I don't want you to get scared about this because it's just said most of them do burn up without causing any harm. So you don't have to worry about going around and space rocks coming out of the sky or anything like that. It does happen though here and there. So we're gonna look at a couple of the instances where that happens. But if an asteroid larger than a mile across were to hit Earth, it would mean catastrophe. 65 million years ago, an asteroid likely led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. That asteroid was 6 miles across. It crashed off the coast of what is now Mexico, and scientists believe the dust clouds from the explosion blocked out the sun, perhaps for months, causing plants and animals to die. Could that happen again? So we're going to look at another close call. The last time a meteoroid caused as much damage as the one in Cheylabinsk did was more than 100 years ago, by chance, also in Russia. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a farmer named S.B. Semenov was sitting on the porch of a trading post in Siberia, a vast area in eastern Russia. Suddenly, the sky lit up and a shockwave knocked him to the ground. He felt fierce heat, writing later, "It almost burned the shirt off me." Semenov was more than 40 miles away from the center of what has become known as the Tunguska Event. Tunguska is a remote region of the Siberian wilderness. With the force of nearly 200 atomic bombs, the explosion felled 80 million trees in an area more than twice the size of New York City. So do you get that? Like, where a meteoroid hit before, or meteorite, actually knocked down 80 million trees. That's crazy. But because Tunguska is so remote, it took decades for scientists to piece together what happened. So decades are 10 years, right? Lots and lots of decades. Okay, 1 decade's 10 years. Lots of decades are many years. You know, you could go 10 decades is 100 years. So it took scientists a long time to piece together what happened. The mystery inspired bizarre theories: a UFO explosion, a science experiment gone wrong, a black hole passing through the planet. In fact, what happened in Tunguska was just like what happened in Cheylabinsk, except the Tunguska meteor was much larger and much closer to the ground. These events are extremely rare. Few of today's scientists ever imagined they would live to see anything like that. Very large asteroid events, like the ones that probably doomed the dinosaurs, are even more rare. They happen only once every 100 million years or so. And now a group of experts is working feverishly to ensure that such an event never happens again. Spaceship Earth. The B612 Foundation, founded by former astronauts, is devoted to protecting the planet from asteroids. NASA, America's Space Research Agency, has already found most of the very large asteroids, but it also has other important projects, like exploring Mars, and can't devote all its time and money to asteroids. So B612 is building a special satellite called Sentinel that will serve as our planet's eyes, orbiting the sun and hunting for asteroids. Right now we're on Spaceship Earth and we're flying through the universe without any windows, says Diane Murphy, spokesperson for B612. We're creating windows for Spaceship Earth. But even if we could see a large asteroid coming toward us, is there anything we could do? The experts at B612 say yes. We could alter an asteroid's course away from Earth by crashing an unpiloted spacecraft into it. If we couldn't do that, we might at least have been able to have time to evacuate a city like Cheylabinsk before an explosion. So looking both ways. What happened in Cheylabinsk is a reminder of something that's easy to forget. We live on a planet that is drifting through space, and we're not alone. Drifting along with us are objects that may someday pose a threat. But according to Murphy, there's no reason to panic. Asteroids are just part of the universe. We can't change that, but we have the technology to help us prepare for future impacts. We do lots of things to protect ourselves, says Murphy. Just like we look both ways for cars when we cross the street, we need to look both ways for asteroids. Fortunately, no one in Cheylabinsk was killed, and most of the injuries were minor. Many people in the area have a new hobby of hunting for meteorites. Even small fragments of the fireball can be worth thousands of dollars. If you saw a meteorite, though, you probably wouldn't think it was anything special. Most look like an awful lot like boring old black rocks. You'd probably walk right by it. So, interesting article here just to kind of connect what we're learning about as we look at asteroids, comets, meteoroids, meteorites, meteors, the effects that can happen of them. So, it's interesting. This didn't happen that long ago, and it's awesome that we have a lot of video footage that we can use to help us learn from it. So, did you spot the words that we looked at before reading the article? Shock waves, meteor, solar system, asteroids, comets, meteoroids, fireballs, meteorites, orbit, or satellites? We're going to practice what those words mean in another assignment, so you're going to be on the lookout for that. I hope you enjoyed learning about space rocks from the article Attack from Outer Space. All right, that's all for me. Take care.
Peace.
You rock!